Sonia Chang-Diaz. We so respect her, love her, admire her. You know, both being JP residents. There's Mike right back there. You might see our son Louis running around the house. And, you know, both personally and professionally and just really in about every facet of my life, I think Sonia has really touched and is really advocated in so many important ways. I really want to acknowledge a couple people here. Becky Haig from AIDS Action Committee, and having AIDS Action in Jamaica Plain is this amazing thing. Paul Romery from the Shattuck Hospital, and you know, all of the great work that goes on in Jamaica Plain. I know that people from Community Servings are here as well, and Public Health Commission, Beth Hasty. So thank you all for coming, and I know, you know, we're all here because we want to see Sonia elected again and again and again. And we are really, you know, happy to do that, to make this happen. I don't think that there's a more progressive legislator at the State House. And, you know, the work that she's done on homelessness, on addiction, on AIDS is really next to none. So you know, Mike and I are happy to do this. We are each giving Sonia a check for $500, which is the maximum you can give her this year. And you know, I know that you're all asked to do a lot. There are lots of ways to help out in the campaign as well. So if writing a check to the maximum is something, you know, you maybe can't do today, there's lots of help that the campaign will need, especially as we're moving closer towards the election. I wanted to introduce one person who really means, who has really done so much in Massachusetts for my family. And it's the organization MassEquality, and Cara Safradini is here as an individual, but I think that the incredible work she and the board, people like Robin Oakes and Julie Goodrich and Rob Johnson, I know, is here as well. You know, it just is an amazing organization that's doing a lot besides equal marriage. And I really wanted Cara to just say a few words about just some of the work that she has done this last year or so, a couple of years with Sonia. So.
Sure, thanks, Jonathan, and thank you to you and Mike for hosting this. And I will make this brief because everyone wants to hear from you. But you know, I think what I wanted to say, really just to set it up for the senator tonight, is, you know, we all know that we are really lucky to live in Massachusetts. We live in a state that has marriage equality. We have all different kinds of family recognition, parenting recognition. Almost there on non-discrimination protections. We're getting closer. And you know, we're doing pretty good. But at the same time, I think we still face some pretty serious challenges, right? We've got 40% of our homeless youth population are LGBT identified. These are kids who, for the most part, are folks who've been kicked out of their homes. Our LGBT students are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their peers. Our elders who really paved the way to make it possible for people like me to live an open and authentic life, to be a non-conforming person. Some of them are forced back into the closet at this point because it's not necessarily safe when they need elder services care. And the list really goes on. We obviously need public accommodations protections for transgender people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a very long list. The challenges are serious, and my observation from the work that we do at MassEquality is that we need serious leadership to address these challenges. In 2012 in Massachusetts, 8 years after marriage equality, it's great to be a supporter of equality, but what we really need are people who are champions. When we worked on the trans bill, it wasn't just about people who we knew would be with us when we had the vote. It was really about getting the bill to the vote. That takes real champions. I think that Senator Chang-Diaz is one of those champions. And there are lots and lots of stories from the past decade that people could tell about the work that she's done in our community. I will speak about the first time that I met her, which was actually, Gunnar and I went to meet with her. This is actually the first time I met you, but it's the first time we had a substantive conversation. Gunnar and I went to meet with her to convince her to become a lead co-sponsor of the trans bill. And we wanted her, it was a very strategic decision, right? We wanted her because we always needed a woman to be a lead co-sponsor of the bill. But we also needed somebody, and for folks who don't know, we needed a woman to deal with the bathroom bill issue, right? It's an issue in women's bathrooms, we need a woman to say that's not true. But more than that, she uses the women's room, I assume, so it's helpful. But more than that, what we needed was somebody who actually could speak fluently about transgender people and their lives, and speak with competency and comfort, and be a real advocate for the community. And we knew that she was the person who would do that. So we went in, we made the ask, we thought, how hard could this be? She represents JP, there's tons of trans people to be great. And she was, pardon me, and she was, it was not actually, it was not a hard sell. She was into doing it, but she had a number of questions. She had real questions about the pushback that we were getting on the bill, how we were addressing those concerns, and really the message that we walked away with was, if you want to pass this bill, you have to be serious about dealing with these issues. I will get on board, but we have to come up with serious responses to this, which I think just pushed us to be better advocates. And so, you know, she's obviously been a champion on these issues, but she pushes us to be better advocates, makes us stronger and better champions for the community as well. So that's not the only support she's shown. She's also the Senate chairwoman of the Joint Committee on Education, and she has shown a lot of leadership on an anti-bullying bill that we have in there that would update our anti-bullying law to include specific protections for LGBT youth. And in fact, she leveraged a lot of her advocacy on the trans bill to connect that to bullying in schools. You know, as a teacher, that was actually a pretty powerful thing for her to be doing and a connection for her to be making for people. She sponsors our budget requests. She votes the right way on our budget requests. She's just there. She's just there. And you know, that's what it takes. I think in 2012 in Massachusetts, it takes a real champion. You've been a real champion. We're incredibly grateful. She has been there to support us. I would encourage everybody to support her. Add an extra zero if you can. It's worth it.
Thank you.
Sitting there for a minute, I'm thinking, where's she going to go with this story? I didn't see that right away. But thank you, for the very kind words. And Jonathan and Michael and just, opening up your home. And, I was telling Jonathan, and I'm sure everyone else here will agree with me, that if we do this again next year, that he should probably order a little bit more food. Yeah. But, being so generous with your hospitality, and Robin and Julie, and some, this host committee is a veritable who's who. I mean, I feel a little starstruck, actually, to, get to have my name as the one that comes after all the people on the host committee. So I really am just tremendously honored to have your support, to have you in my corner as I head into election season. And I shouldn't say head in, actually, just to give you the lay of the land. We're actually a little under 2 months away from my election day, if you can believe that. It's very early this year, September 6th, a Thursday. Tell all your friends. So it really, continues to be a thrill for me to be on this team. And, this year is, I remember last year, or was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. At this very event, someone asked a question about what is it going to take to get the Trans Equal Rights Bill through. And so it's such a wonderful moment, now to be able to, 2 years later, fast forward, and we've crossed that finish line. We had come back from public accommodations, but that we have this incredible victory under our belt from the last session. I appreciate the applause, but man, is this always a team effort. I mean, with Mass Equality, with Trans Political Coalition, it's just, it is a incredible team. So I know it's sort of a cliche, but I mean it when I say that round of applause is for everyone in this room. Because it does take, and it did take, and it will continue to take so many people pulling and pushing in the right direction to win those victories. But it is a lovely, sort of refreshing experience to get to be before you and say, we got it done this year. We got this incredible bill passed this year. Because, we don't often pause to relish the victories. One, because they don't happen as often as we would like. And two, because I think it's in our DNA as progressives, that we are always on to the next thing that needs to be fixed, and always focused on the next group of people who need our help, and the next social ill that needs our attention. And I love that. I love, I'm that way, and I love being on a team that is that way. But I think it's so important that we do push ourselves to take a victory lap, to soak it in, to relish the victory. And to recognize all of the things that we have done right, and that we're contributing to history with our labors, because this is a crazy hard arena that we live in. And you have to endure more losses than wins in order to be around for the wins. And that's something that I have really that's really been driven home for me over my first 3.5 years now in the legislature. I'm more than that as an organizer, but now even getting to be, right at the center of the decision making about these policies, that it still is this constant, emotional roller coaster, and you have to really sustain over many, many fights and many losses and many delays in order to be there for the win. But the wins make it worthwhile. That is really my my strong conclusion at the almost end of 2 terms, that the things that we do make progress on, though they may be long duration between them, and though they may never be a 100% victory, and there's always the next mountain to climb, that they really make it worth being in the ring. And I just want to urge that message on to all of to all of you also, because I know that it's got to be hard. It's hard for all of us, whether you're in the chair where you get to cast your vote on a bill, or whether you're stuffing envelopes or doing canvassing. That it's hard. It's really hard. But I want to just stress and underline the message that I personally believe it's worth it, and I love and I believe in this work. And so let's all still continue to be in it and be in the trench together, even though it's frustrating sometimes. And this is not the only win we've had this session. Like, surprisingly, and I'll tell this little story about my now husband. I just got married in the past year.
Is that legal?
I'll be a little Miss Ernest and respond to your joke by saying, it was legal, of course, but that it was so much a sweeter experience for me to get married, knowing that all of my friends and neighbors and loved ones can also share in that institution in Massachusetts. So on a personal level, I owe a debt of gratitude to everyone in this room who worked for same-sex marriage, so that I could have that experience at the altar, to feel like I didn't have to choose between this thing that I wanted to do for myself and my friends who were excluded from the institution. But 4 years ago now, my then boyfriend, now husband, he'd been through a couple campaign cycles with me. He knew what he was getting into, but he was more of a cynic than me, and was worried about, what's this job going to be like? It's going to be really hard on us as a couple. It's going to be hard on our family eventually as we go down that path. And he really pushed me to write down some goals in my first term, so that we would have something to anchor ourselves to, and revisit and make really conscientious decisions along the way of, does this work continue to be worth the sacrifice? And at the end of the first term, we dusted it off and looked at it, and he was so surprised at how much we got done, and he was just, ready to go for term 2. And I look back at term 1, and I look back now at term 2, and we still have a few more days left in the session to get some good things done. And I still have that experience, and I think, there's so many things that piss me off and frustrate me about this job that we didn't get done this session. All of the stupid BS that happens around immigration policy every year in the budget. The fact that we're going to have to come back again for public accommodations, which is ridiculous, but we're going to do it. And the things that I have to fight for and not get in the budget. All of those things are extremely frustrating. But then I think about, we got not only the Transgender Equal Rights Bill passed this session, we passed an incredible set of redistricting maps in the legislature last year. Massachusetts earned an A grade from the Center for Public Integrity, which is a national organization, on the quality and integrity of our redistricting process, which is a huge leap forward from 10 years ago, as you may remember. We increased the number of majority-minority districts in this House, in the Massachusetts House, from 10 to 20 seats, a full 100% increase. And in the Senate, increased that number from 2 to 3 seats. So that's a huge 10 years worth of progress in one lump sum that we got accomplished in the legislature this year. We've passed important legislation on education funding and accountability. Won some incremental wins in the budget. I was just talking with Libba about MEPCO funding. And so there are lots of wins that are worth celebrating. So, on balance, the frustrations are still there. I wring my hands. I was venting, talking to Carola about all the students. She asked, "How are you doing?" And I just gave her a loaded on her. But then the wins are there as well. So I just, keep your chins up, keep the fight up, and we will come back again for public accommodations because it is, I think about the history and the gravitas that comes with the phrase public accommodations in the arc of this country's quest for justice. And I feel very honored to get to be a part of the team that is fighting for the next round of public accommodations. And I think that it's something that we will be able to look back on and tell our grandchildren about with pride. So on to the next battles in the next session, and the few that remain for the next few weeks of the formal session. We've got an election reform bill that I'm hoping will make it to the Senate floor. So I was talking to someone else about campaign finance. I think, who was it? It was Julie. We're talking about corporate money in politics, how frightening that is. Hopefully we're going to get a resolution out of the state Senate in the next few weeks, memorializing the Congress for them to initiate a constitutional amendment to ban corporate money in our elections. So there are so many important fights that await and that I'm excited for. So I thank you for your efforts to send me back for another 2 years, and I just thank you for making this incredible team for me to be a part of. Thank you.